Prestige were already well known for their class-leading Flybridge cruisers well before they turned their hand to the multi-hull market. In fact, in 2023, they say they sold 30% of Flybridge cruisers around the world. In 2022, they launched their first multi-hulled Flybridge cruiser, the M48, and this is the first one to land in Australia. But is it the most efficient and comfortable 50-footer on the market? Come with me and let's take a look. The M48 sits as the first boat in the prestigious M line. We've already had a look at the M8 over in Italy, and that was a beautiful boat, close to 20 metres long. This particular vessel is close to 15 metres long, and I have it on good authority that the range is set to expand. But the important thing to note about the M class of boats is their design principles. They were designed first and foremost as a power catamaran, and that means the hull has been tailored to make it more efficient across the water while under power. A lot of other boats in this class, you may also notice, sit very low to the water. Designing the boat as a power catamaran first and foremost means you can have a much taller profile, and that gives you plenty more room on board. I'm here with Joe Fox from TMG Yachts. Now Joe, it's always interesting seeing a new model come into the country. What do you think the M48 brings to luxury catamarans in Australia?
I think it brings something that a lot of people have been looking for a long time. You know, there are catamarans, power cats in particular, are a growing species in the powerboat world, and we're seeing a lot of transition from those who might have larger, longer monohull powerboats looking for something that's a little bit shorter. In a power cat, it's obviously wider, so you can get a shorter vessel with the same onboard volume as a much bigger monohull. So you're also getting much more stability on a power cat, and there are just a few things on this that just make sense in terms of design and features and comfort on board for those looking for a little bit extra out of a powerboat. There's a big sailing yacht market in Australia, sailing catamarans specifically, and we're seeing a transition now whereby the powerboat monohull people are looking, what can they do next? What's new coming to the market? And that's where I think this boat is going to fit in so well in the Australian market. What
innovative design features are on board this boat, and how does that add to an owner's overall experience?
I think the first one you can't look past is that full beam master cabin. It's not something we see on catamarans generally, but due to the design, the hull design with the bridge deck and the cabin top, we can get full standing headroom in that master cabin, which I think is an absolute game changer. On that point, in terms of the hull design, the most unique feature about this M48 and the M line range in total is that it's been designed from the keels up as a motor yacht. So we haven't taken a sailing yacht and redesigned it, not installed the rig and installed bigger engines. We've got a hull that works efficiently under power. We've got wave piercing bows, so it's really about increasing the efficiency and making a comfortable ride on a vessel that's designed as a powerboat from the get-go.
With a boat like this, clearly built for cruising, what's the ownership proposition look like? Where does an owner pick up the boat and how can they use it?
Look, we see this boat available for a number of different uses. Perfect family boat, very safe, single level living out here in the cockpit, so with young kids, family, it's great. Also for entertaining friends, and you could be entertaining colleagues, work parties, all the rest of it. So that's something you might find yourself doing on the east coast of Australia or in WA, Melbourne, locally. Also, the boat is very capable of coastal cruising. So we've actually just brought this boat down from the Gold Coast. We did it in 3 days in total. We stopped just because there are too many whales offshore at this time of year. But it was a great trip. We were cruising at 17 and a half knots during the day, very comfortable. So really a good coastal passage maker. The other option available for our clients with delivery of a new vessel is to take delivery in Europe. So the majority of the Prestige boats are made in Les Herbiers in northwest France, and that positions you perfectly next to the Mediterranean to take delivery actually in the south of France, in Cannes and Roussan, which is on the Mediterranean coast. And this vessel really lends itself perfectly to Mediterranean cruising, much like the east coast cruising that we do here on the east coast of Australia. The distances are short, you can make very good time, on board, getting from island to island, even country to country in you know, half a day. So I think we'll find a lot of people looking at a European adventure, enjoying a couple of seasons in the Med as liveaboard cruisers, before maybe shipping the boat back to Australia to enjoy our local waterways.
Thanks for your time, Joe. That's some interesting information for anyone that's looking at an M48 or anything from the M class. When it comes to sitting down, relaxing and entertaining, this aft cockpit is the perfect space for that. You've got elevated views of the water, plenty of room, and you've got plenty of seating as well. The seat I'm sitting on and the one on the port side aren't removable, but this fantastic Rhoda Italian furniture stretching across the back is completely removable. Held in place with metal rods, but you can actually take all of that away and open up that space brilliantly. On the port side, underneath the stairs going up to the Flybridge, you've also got an ice maker, and that's a brilliant feature on a boat like this. If you own a boat like this, you're going to want to have a tender on board to get around in those little bays and also do some exploring, and you can put it right here on this aft platform. The center section lifts right up and goes down further towards the water. It's got inbuilt chocks, and you can fit probably a 3.2 meter tender there. There's actually a separate swimming platform either side, one on the port and one on the starboard. And it's a very neat place to just slip into the water for a swim if you like. Now, located behind this door is a huge storage locker, and it goes back quite a long way. You can put a stand-up paddleboard or a kayak in there. You also have the option of having a passerelle extend out from behind there. I do like that you can lower that hatch and then lower the swim platform, and you can use the hatch as a seat. It's a nice little feature out the back here and makes it a little bit more comfortable when you're sitting back and sipping a wine. The beam of 6 meters affords a lot of luxury in terms of the spaciousness of the layout, and they really have nailed it on board the M48. It is truly open and spacious feeling while I'm standing right here. Plenty of head height and large windows allowing light to stream in. I don't feel enclosed or in a tight area at all. I really love how they've done the galley. The galley, whilst it is running north-south, still has full contact with that aft cockpit via a fully extending window located at its rear, and it also has full contact with anyone sitting around the lounge located to my right. There is a TV that pops out of the bench top just here, but even then you've still got plenty of space for cooking and getting food ready. You've got a fridge, freezer, oven, cooktop, and a neat sink and storage bin located at the head of the galley. Now I'm sitting downstairs adjacent to the lounge at the second helm. The primary helm is of course located up on the Flybridge, but down here I have access to everything I need to steer the craft. You've got twin screens displaying your readouts from your engines and a map. I've got a joystick here and a throttle on my right, and obviously a steering wheel to help me steer the boat. Most of your driving will be done from the Flybridge, and this is an option that you can choose to have. If you don't want this, you can have storage and a refrigerator located here, but I think most people will choose to have a second helm station. It makes the most sense to me. If you are berthing from the second helm downstairs, there is a neat little walkway that gets you straight out to the starboard side of the boat through that door. Saves you having to go all the way down the back and then all the way back up the side of the boat. All the way throughout this boat, you can really see the attention to the craft of boat building and the materials that they've used and the luxury that that implies, but none more so than right here in the master cabin. It is beautifully spacious and abundant with light. You've got a wonderful bed head here that's textured timber. You've got a fantastic suede line roof and walls and some stunning timber cabinetry. All of that goes together to make it feel like you are standing in a 5-star hotel room on board a boat. I've got a writing desk behind me, a couch over on the port side, and finally you've got a completely separate toilet and shower, one located in port and one located to starboard. I'm standing in the third cabin. There is of course a VIP room located in the starboard hull. Now both of these cabins butt up against each other, so head to head essentially, but they're well soundproofed and you're not going to hear people next door. The bed setup is essentially the same. You can push 2 singles together to form this large bed in the middle, or you can have it set up as 2 separate beds if you have children or something like that. Located just outside the door here is the day head and the head that services this particular cabin. So guests coming in from outside or from upstairs needing to use the bathroom, down a set of stairs, the bathroom is located out there down its own walkway. This cabin, they can also hop out the door there and use that bathroom when they need to. Each cabin actually has its own access way, so you're not going to be bumping into people when you're going down to have a lie down or moving about the boat. And even around the bed inside this cabin and the VIP room, there's plenty of room to do that. There is so much space on board the M48, it's hard to know exactly where to sit. On a splendid day like today when the sun's out, the bow is a pretty good spot to be. You've got a sun lounge there capable of accommodating 4 people at least, cup holders and plenty of room to stretch out. Here I'm seated on some more of that fantastic Rhoda furniture. This furniture has removable cushions so you can take them out and put them inside if you're doing a longer passage. But this is supremely comfortable and a great use of this space that would otherwise just be empty. These are an option, of course. Either side of me, there are 2 deep storage compartments. In fact, there's storage all through the boat, but either side, there's very deep storage for all your bits and pieces. If you wanted to, you could have one of them as a head and the other one, I believe, as a crew quarters, although that would be unusual in Australian waters, more so appropriate for Europe perhaps. Above me, I've got this magnificent shade cloth. It is again an option, but you can put that up within a matter of minutes and really cover this area and make sure you don't get burnt under that sunny Aussie sun. And this is exactly why you buy a Flybridge boat, for all of this room. There's a massive walkway to get up here. You're not going to bang your head as you come up the stairs, and then you are opening yourself up to all of this space to sit back and relax. You've got this wonderful seating area, a huge dining table. You can sit facing aft, or you can even sit here on the starboard side facing forwards, get a little that wind in the hair feeling. You've got the helm station here on port, and of course if you want to cook and entertain up here, you've got a cooktop and a fridge located under there, so you don't have to go too far to grab yourself a drink. It is a wonderful place to really spend a lot of quality time, and you're protected the whole time from the sun by this wonderful roofline here. The furniture up on the Flybridge is removable as well, so if you want more open space, more space to lie down, you can take it out and have all the room you want. Powering the M48 are twin Volvo D4 inboard engines. They produce 320 horsepower each, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's more than enough for this boat. It is that efficient, powering it to a top speed of around 20 knots. At the moment, we're doing about 7 knots and we're burning 10.5 litres per hour, but there's far more efficient speeds to be had. So let's put the throttle down and see where we get to. Now, driving a twin hull or a multi-hull boat is very different than driving a mono hull. It turns much flatter, but at rest it's extremely stable. It is stable very much underway as well, so that's important to note. Particularly I think around the turning aspect of a twin hull boat. Most people would expect, perhaps coming from a mono to a twin hull, they'd expect it to bed in a little bit. It doesn't do that, it will turn relatively flat. And also when you put the throttle down, you're not going to get on a boat like this any bow lift or anything like that. It will maintain a very safe and stable attitude the entire way through, all the way through to top speed. I will say the throttle is extremely smooth on this boat. Now we've powered up to around about that 16 knot mark, and that feels like a really good speed for this particular boat. We are burning about 78 litres of fuel per hour. We have 1,200 litres on board. Sitting up here, you can really see everything you need to. The visibility is excellent all around the boat. Now, if you wanted to, you could enclose this top helm area in clears if you're going to be doing a lot of driving in inclement weather. But for me, I think the thrill of it is actually having that wind in your face feeling. That feels more realistic and much more enjoyable to me. And particularly on a day where you've got a lot of sun around, this is the perfect place to be. There's not a lot of swell coming into the harbour today, a little bit, and we're just rising over that and coming down each one very smoothly. The boat doesn't really bounce around at all. You wouldn't expect it to. It really is designed for this casual cruising that we're doing at the moment. Feedback from the steering wheel, I just give it a little bit of a turn here and there, is quite immediate. You can immediately feel the boat starting to turn. So that feedback is very good. You know exactly where you're going, you know which way you're pointing, and you're not actually suddenly turning off too quickly. But in saying that, this boat is extremely maneuverable. You can actually turn quite sharply side to side. You wouldn't want to do it with too many people on board, obviously, from a safety point of view, but you can turn sharply from side to side, giving it excellent maneuverability for a boat that is 6 metres wide and just a shade under 15 metres long. We're inside the harbour, but I can still feel the backwash, but it's not unsettling the boat at all. It's still managing that backwash coming off the rocks very easily. It's not making me nervous. It's not giving me any interesting feedback. It's actually handling it really nicely. I'm not sure if you can see how windy it is though right now on the harbour. It was blissful this morning, but that wind has really kicked up. And even with that really strong wind on this hull, we're not getting a lot of spray coming up onto the top of the boat, up onto the Flybridge, to be honest. It is very dry up here, and that spray is staying well down and away from the driving position. It is quite a big boat to be driving. I would at times like to be up a little bit higher, but if I stand up I probably wouldn't reach the steering wheel too easily. You can drive from down below, as I mentioned earlier, but I think here is the place that gives you the best visibility overall. At around 15 knots, that is the most efficient use of this hull, and that will give you a range of about 230 nautical miles. And if you're traversing up and down the coastline here in Australia, that will give you a fair bit of range. You could really see some amazing parts of the country. If you're into more leisurely cruising, somewhere around 8 knots will give you a range of about 700 nautical miles, and that is plenty enough for a family looking to soak up some cruising anywhere in this country. To help you dock this boat, you have the convenience of joystick control. Now that joystick controls the 2 shaft-driven inboard engines, and that's combined with a bow thruster. All of them work together to make this boat super nimble and maneuverable when you're coming into a dock or coming into a berth. Despite the fact that this is a multi-hull, it will in fact fit into a 60-foot monohull berth. There's no doubt the Prestige M48 is right at home here in Australia. For any family that's looking to do some long-range cruising, enjoy themselves on board and feel like it's a home, it's hard to think of a more well-rounded package than this one. You've got luxury, comfort and efficiency all rolled into one. The Barrier Reef, the top end of Australia, or even just up and down the east coast, you can really do it all on board this boat. The space on board is equivalent to a 60-foot monohull, and the design is exemplary by Galley. If you're in the market for a 50-foot boat, this absolutely should be on your shopping list. I'm Dom Wiseman for Club Marine TV. I'll see you on the next episode.